Kids nowadays only and only crave for junk, sugary drinks, and packaged foods. That's very grave area that we all are trying to fix.
Me being a child nutritionist, the amount of times people have come to me and said, who cares? Because we are all adults now. We eat by ourselves. And first thing I tell them is, I don't think we're that fine. A lot of times what your child is eating reflects the way they behave.
Indian kitchen is full of superfoods.
Do not fear carbs for your kids. They need carbohydrates.
I feel picky eating is just a phase. It's not their personality. Exposing them to different kind of food groups build their immunity.
Dairy is really important for growing kids, especially for vegetarians.
Parents whose kids are approaching puberty, the maximum problems that I hear is sugary drinks. Kids are addicted to those, and that is really harming them. Seeing how these cookies are made outside, it is 3 times of what we use at home.
Hey parents, welcome to another episode of the Modern Indian Parent Podcast, a podcast that is redefining parenting in Indian families. I'm Sanchita Daswani, a pediatric nutritionist, and every week we bring you episodes where we are helping you own your modern parenting choices, even if Nani and Dadi don't agree with them. Today's episode is covering my favorite topic, of course, which is child nutrition. We are joined by Mona Narula, who is a child nutritionist, food psychologist, and brain development nutritional advisor. She is also mom to a 9-year-old, and driven by a passion for raising healthy and hearty children, Mona founded Kid Zap Zoe. Her mission is to assist parents in nurturing healthy kids, and she is joining us in today's episode to help all the parents out there to understand what nutrition for kids should really look like in terms of in different seasons. As our kids are growing up, kids who are in sports, who are busy studying, what can we do as parents from a nutritional point of view to make sure that our kids can feel their best and do their best? So let's welcome Mona to the podcast. Hi, Mona. Welcome to the Modern Indian Parent Podcast. We were just chatting earlier that both of us as child nutritionists, today there's so many questions. I think meal times can be one of the most stressful time for parents. So hoping today in this episode to just give them some relief and some ideas. And I must first of all commend you on your page and your platform, because going through all those recipes, I'm like, wow, I didn't realize that you could use all these superfoods and make food actually look and taste so delicious that our kids can actually enjoy. So first of all, really commend you on the work you're doing. And to just get started, would love to know a little bit about your journey and how you got into child nutrition.
Thank you so much. So this journey for me started when once my daughter came, we had gone for a birthday party. She came up to me and she's allergic to color. So looking at all the kids eating food and eating the cake, she came up to me and she said that why can't I have this? Because the cake had color. And that's when it got me thinking that I should be creating something for parents that is healthy, looks good, it is made in no time, does not take too much effort, and it's not very expensive. So Kid Zap Zoe as a page started from there. I was always interested in nutrition and I had studied nutrition. So then I started experimenting with food. And now you see there are so many recipes that I give out, which does not take too much time for parents to make. So because they say that a happy child make happy parents, and it has to be both ways. Happy parents make happy kids, but happy kids also give us a lot of happiness. So the child needs to get what they ask for, but if we can just make it healthier, it'll be great.
Yeah, exactly. And this whole thing about child nutrition, me being a child nutritionist, the amount of times people have come to me and said, who cares? Because we are all adults now. We all eat fine. We eat by ourselves. We've figured it out. And to be honest, the first thing I tell them is, I don't think we're that fine. Because most of us today, unfortunately, have a lot of autoimmune conditions. We have a terrible relationship with food. Most of us are overeaters or undereaters, or we're a whole day going from one nutritionist to another to figure it out. And a lot of this is actually being stemmed to our childhood and the relationship that we have built with food. So for me, I really feel it's about setting that, if we can set the stage from the beginning, imagine how much easier it'll be for our kids to actually have these better eating habits. So I'd love to know from you, why do you feel child nutrition is so important and why what you do is important? Because we could just give our kids the cake and be like, it's fine.
Okay, Sanchita, if you remember when we were growing up, products like cookies, chips were just coming in and marketed so wrongly, and our parents were not aware. So we have eaten such things and grown up. And now for us to control on these things, it's becoming difficult. And that is why, as you said, we are running from nutrition to nutritionist to nutritionist, getting our diet fixed. Our gut is all over the place. Diabetes is everywhere. So it's common among young people. And that is why I feel starting them young is very, very important. And if they are aware of what to eat, when to eat, and how much to eat, they will definitely pick that up and make that as a lifestyle. So you're not just feeding the young them, you're raising them to become aware adults. And that's where, we are going to raise healthy generation. So the age between 5 to 12, it becomes so important to make them aware of what they are going to feed their body and how it is going to help them. That's where this is child nutrition is becoming, the awareness is coming in, and parents are becoming aware of what to feed the kids and how to feed them.
Yeah. And I think the first few years, a lot of parents say, oh, yeah, it's okay because we are around. So, like, we manage to feed them. But once your child starts going for play dates or they're in school and they are actually exposed to all these packaged foods, I mean, of course, I think both of us could say it's all about balance and all of that, but it's about the standards you set in the foundation that will affect their decision making when they're out on their own. I remember when I went to college, like I didn't understand about protein and all of these things. So for me, when I was in uni, I just ate to eat. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like I was just eating to fill myself up. But now I'm trying to teach my kids a little bit like, okay, make sure you have a fruit or vegetable in every meal. Simple, like it's just simple things like that. Like growing up, I used to have like dal, rice, and french fries. And I was
that's
very
it.
happy. But now for my kids, I'm like, guys, we need to add some ghee, we add some nuts, we have to have a veggie on the side. And
Yeah.
I feel like these things stick because whatever you do remember these things when you're an adult, right?
Yes, yes, 100%. And this is the age where, the maximum growth is happening. The muscles are building, their bones are lengthening, their brain is rewiring, and intensely it is rewiring. You know, it has to be fed good, nutritious food for it to function better. They are on the move, they are thinking, they are learning, they're most importantly feeling. And the food that we give them, it really plays an important role in all of these formations. The main thing that I would focus is habit formation. Once you form the habit, once they become aware of how, what is the line of eating, first eat your veggies, then goes in your protein with a little bit of healthy fats and complex carbs. When they become aware of this process, they themselves will pick up the right thing.
Yeah, because all of this stuff, honestly, I learned in the last few years for
Same
myself.
here. Yeah, same here.
Like even I didn't know that, okay, have your veggies and then protein and then last the carbs for the blood sugar spike, all of that. Now for my kids, I'm like, okay guys, if you want sugar, please have some cashews or cheese before. And I was like, my life would have been so different if I knew these simple hacks. And you were talking about about kids, right? Because they're going through so much. Another important thing I want to highlight for parents out there is how your child is behaving, because a lot of times what your child is eating is reflects the way they behave. So if you notice a child has a lot of tantrums or is always upset, it can be related to what they ate, and that relates back to again all this packaged foods they're eating and not eating proper meals. So have you noticed this correlation between its behavior and their food intake?
Yes, actually, the food that you eat first thing in the morning decides how the child is going to behave in the entire day. So, if they start their day with protein first, it really helps. But if it is started with basic carbs that we Indian, households have, they always crave for junk. The sugar spike is so high, it's like a roller coaster ride, and it drops so immediately, and they are craving sugar all day. They are hyperactive. The sugar rush is crazy, and they misbehave. They are, you cannot say misbehave, but they are just so hyperactive. It's not in their control. So the food that they start their day with impacts a lot. We should also give a lot of importance to hydration and sleep. That affects them in the long run.
Yeah, exactly. Sleep is so important, especially as our kids are growing up, because that's when they their body takes a break, it restores, it grows as well. And yeah, I want to talk to you now about a little bit about the challenges that we face, because I think now as parents we've understood, okay, we have to feed our kids the right way. We need to teach them a bit, but the problem is our kids don't want to listen to us. So, what are some common challenges you have seen parents are facing today, especially with this, 5 to 12-year-olds as they're getting older, they're independent? What are the challenges parents face when it comes to meal times?
So I feel the biggest challenge is, I call it the I know it everything phase. The kids, whenever you tell them anything between this, especially this age group, they say, I know it. Okay, no life lessons, mama. No life lessons, papa. I know it. My friends eat it. So the peer pressure is so much. But the parents, maximum consultations that I take, the kids that I consult, it's just that my friends are eating it. So to have that kind of social circle is also very important, where you come from the same thought process as parents. So that plays a major role. Kids nowadays only and only crave for junk, sugary drinks, and packaged foods. That's a very, very grave area that we all are trying to fix. And they don't want to try new foods at all. These things are there, but parents cannot teach them things by just saying that you should be eating healthy, eat your protein, or eat your vegetables, when you yourself are not doing it. So that's where, how much ever you tell them, but they will only do what they see. So it's important to be a good role model, also have the right kind of social environment, or the social circle that will encourage them to eat right.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like when it comes to our kids again, yeah, at this age, it's everyone around them. They're looking around, they want to do that. So I think as a family, it's important to set some standards at home and they
Yeah,
watch what you do. They see, okay, you guys are watching TV and eating dinner,
and
so
eating.
why can't we? Or you guys are having that packets of chips, so why can't we? So let's take it step by step. So we are talking about breakfast first. So I'd love to know from you, what are some 4 or 5 good breakfast options for kids of this age?
So, first of all, every parent should understand that the meal that you build has to be around protein. So, if you're eating eggs is an excellent option. If you're a vegetarian, then you focus on plant based protein and build your meal around the protein. Cook your protein in good fats. Include avocados, olive oil, or ghee, or cold pressed oils. That's how you build your child's first meal. So, eggs could be an option. Moong dal chila for vegetarians, besan chila. Include a lot of veggies and cook them in ghee, or a good cold pressed oil. That will help them keep their energy levels steady throughout the day,
Yeah.
and also reduce a lot of cravings in the day.
Yeah, that's true. For my kids, also like being vegetarian. So, one thing I love doing is we do like French toast, but I also get like the sprouted bread as well. So, we'll do French toast, we'll add an egg, and then I'll add the milk as well. Then I'll also add
Right.
some nut and seed powder. So, even though the carb is there, there is a lot of protein and fat to balance it out. So, it's not just like a piece of toast. Also, my kids love pancakes. So, I'll give them like a pancake, but in the pancake, I have the oats, I have the egg, I have the peanut butter, I have some mixed seeds.
You're adding nuts to it.
Exactly.
And the carb is complex carb. It is not like a
Yeah.
simple carb that is going to spike your sugar or their sugar immediately. So that we all have to be aware, and the breakfast as the main meal has to be focused for them, because they're starting their day. So it really needs to be taken care of. You
Yeah.
cannot give them those sugary cereals first thing in the morning.
Yeah, and two things I want to demythify. Number one for parents is that you need to use a variety of oils. I think a lot of times in Indian households, we're using a lot of ghee, which is okay. Ghee is, of course, we know it's a superfood, but I just want to remind parents that a variety is great. So
Yeah.
use your coconut oil. Of course, we want to avoid the inflammatory oil. So go ahead and like avoid the sunflower oil and all of that. But coconut oil, avocado oil, olive oil, just simple things like that, like changing that up, will definitely help your child get extra nutrition. And another thing I have to tell all parents is do not fear carbs for your kids. They need carbohydrates because they need the
Just to
energy.
choose, yeah, they need to choose the right carbs. There are so many millets available in India. We need to include that into their diet. Complex carbs like oats is great for kids. If your child is fond of, or if your household is making wheat roti, go for kapli flour. So small changes and it'll make a huge difference.
So I'd love to talk to you about millets because, see, growing up, especially a lot of us outside of India, and I think also a lot of people in India didn't end up using millets a lot. And now we're talking a lot about the benefits. So for me, for someone who doesn't live in India, I was like, okay, now what is this? How do I cook it? And my kids were already like 2, 3 years old. So that ragi porridge and all was not going to happen anymore, right? So, like, my baby clients do that. So then I started using millets in the forms of laddus, in terms of pancakes or like ragi cookies. And because I realized that the what you eat at a young age, when you get older, that will help you, because a lot of us now, when we start trying to eat millets and all, it's hard for us because we're not used to it. So that's why it's so important to introduce this variety from the beginning. So I'd love to know a little bit more from you about why are millets so great, and for parents who have no idea about how to use millets, what are some simple ideas to include millets in the diet?
So for us, the simplest way is to include it in the lunch, which give them a millet roti, because that's the easiest way to inculcate that habit. Instead of having a wheat roti, just have a ragi or a jowar or a bajra roti. And every state in India has its own millet. So we can also focus on the local millets that are available. Also seasonally, they are, help our body. So bajra is something that you should have in winters, and jowar is something that you have in summers. So this is not something new. It is going on for ages. It gives a sustained energy. So if you include millets in their diet, at least one meal a day, they will have a sustained energy. Their tummies are fuller for long. They are not feeling hungry every now and then. You can make pancakes out of every millet. If you see my page, there are endless options for cakes or muffins and pancakes, millet cookies, so many varieties that we can use them. So it's always good to have a variety. And the gut flora really flourishes when you actually include 30 different plant-based food in a week. If you can do that, which it's very easy for Indians, because our diet is so vast, and our the variety that is available, it's so huge that it's very easy. Like 30, if I tell my clients, they just feel that that's a lot. But when they sit and count, which includes vegetables, fruits, millets, pulses, dals, everything, it's very easy to include that variety in a week's time. Millets are great. We should have at least once in a day.
Yeah, and I feel also with millets, I want to ask you because if we make a ragi roti, the thing is, again, our kids, right? They will make their
Yeah.
comments. Do you recommend, because sometimes a ragi roti might not come out as soft or so. So how do we do the rotis? Can we mix it with a bit of the wheat flour, or is there a way to make it soft and as good as the wheat
The
rotis?
trick is, for all millet flours, the trick is you take 1 cup of water, heat it up a little, and the same amount of flour, add it to the water, just stir it up and leave it. Leave it for 5 minutes and make a dough, and your rotis will be as soft as the wheat regular roti. So, I mean, I would suggest one grain at a time, not mixing up of the grains. And it's not true that millet rotis are always harder and thicker. you can make it if you know the right trick, and it's not difficult.
Okay, amazing. And I like how you're saying like it's just simple swaps that we can do. As you said, gut health now, again, as adults, we realized it, but even for our kids, I try and get my kids to have like 20 fruits and veggies in a week. And first, I was very nervous about it. But then I realized it's quite easy in the sense
Yeah.
like, even if we're making a pulao for our kids or veg fried rice, in that itself, we can add few veggies. And luckily, most kids do enjoy their fruit. So we do are able to get that in. So, yeah, I think gut health is super important as well. And I'd love to start talking a little bit about there's so many Indian superfoods out there. Well, now we call them superfoods, but to be honest, our grandparents were using it in their daily
Daily
lives,
life.
right? So, what are some foods that are important for us to include to really help with the growth and stability of our kids as they're getting older?
So, as we spoke about millets, one is that we should include moringa whenever is possible, because fresh moringa is available in India. Otherwise, moringa powder is available everywhere now. Actually, Indian kitchen is full of superfoods and spices. So, for kids, I feel yogurt is something that I ask them to take on a regular basis, because that really helps with your gut. And it is a probiotic, everybody knows that. But when parents say that my child has cold and cough, or I should not, but you should be giving them yogurt every single day. Make it fresh at home. Try to give them, if you fear cold and cough, just give them at room temperature. So that is one more thing. Nuts and seeds have lot of micro and macronutrients. So that is something that we should focus on. Fruits
Yeah,
and
yeah.
vegetables, local, seasonal, all this, if we keep in mind, when we tell people, I think it sounds too much, and it's too much to take in, or understand. But once you start following that lifestyle, I think it becomes easier for everybody to just take it.
Yeah, like I'll give you a simple example. Like if you mention all the superfoods and we want to include it in a meal, how would we do it? Number one, if we're doing lunch. So first you said is millet. So we give a millet roti, right? Then second you said is like, let's give some like the nuts and seeds. So all you can do is either knead it in the dough or you can put some cashews in the dal, for example,
Or
right?
just add your nut powder to your yogurt.
To the yogurt and then add the yogurt on the side. And then you said moringa, just add a pinch in the curry or dal that you're offering. And just in that meal, you've added all the superfoods. And a lot of times it doesn't need to be complicated. It
Right.
actually doesn't need to be. I literally bought moringa powder, I have nut powder in the freezer. So for my kids, if they're having dal and rice, I literally put the rice, I put some ghee, I put some powder, they have some yogurt, I put a pinch of moringa in the dal, and then I have a vegetable there on the side. And that's it. That is a balanced meal for them. So, parents, you
Right.
don't need to stress too much. Yes, get everything, have it ready, easily accessible. You just
Yeah.
have to add a little bit
That's it.
in the foods.
It's not as complicated as people perceive it to be, and it's not even time consuming. And with all the helps available, I think it's very easy for us to inculcate these habits. And as kids grow up, even if you forget, they will remind you that today this is missing in the plate. So the idea, the target should be that the kids remind us. And that's where it's a win win.
Yeah, that's when you're like, oh wait, I know I did a good job. Like clearly it's stuck in their head. Sometimes and I think as you said, like for example, we deal with a lot of kids who unfortunately are a bit of a picky eater. They only eat certain foods. But as you said, like if a child only wants to eat rice, okay, what can we add to the rice? We can add some cashew powder. Like how can we slowly add those things? So if you're dealing with a picky eater, make small changes to the food that they are already okay with. And these small things like adding these superfoods will help them get what they need. And what is your advice for parents who are dealing with kids that just have really strong taste buds? So anything they eat, they're like, we don't like it, or they're just sticking to two, three foods. They really don't want to have any variety. How can we help them expand that?
So I feel picky eating is just a phase. It's not their personality. Parents should understand that this is not forever. The major problem is that parents offer a certain food to kids, and one or two servings or one or two times that they offer, and the kids refuses, and the parents are okay with it. They say that he does not like this or she does not want to eat that. That becomes a problem where you're not offering them enough. So it takes at least for kids like those who have strong opinions, it will take them at least 10 to 15 offerings for them to at least try that food. And also, the one thing that I suggest parents to do is introduce new things with familiar things. If you want to give them quinoa, don't just replace it with their rice. Just add a bit into their rice for the first time. Let them see it, let them feel the texture, let them taste it, let them have the feel of the food, and then you include that in their diet. It's a slow process, but it's not the ideal situation is to have patience and keep continuing doing that.
Yeah, I think as parents, we're just so focused on eat, and we forget that our kids are humans like us. Even me and you, we have our preferences. We like certain foods, right? And our job as parents is not for them to eat everything. Our job as parents is to create an environment where our kids feel safe to create their own relationship with food so that they can figure out what their body needs. And I think that is the thing what we are missing, because I've worked with so many parents, and I'm sure you'll agree with me as well. Well, I hope, in the sense that with all the kids I've worked with and the parents, I realize it's not what the child does, it's
Yeah,
how the parent responds that actually makes a kid a picky eater or not.
that's
Because it's when you're,
100% true.
right?
I agree with
Because
you 100%.
it's not that, oh, your child doesn't want to eat the carrot. It's the fact that they didn't want to eat the carrot, and how you said, oh my God, you can't eat it. Here's a TV, just have it. You are not allowing them to actually feel and create that relationship. And that's what most of us, unfortunately, that's the way we grew up. And
Yeah.
that's why so many of us have a tough time feeling safe around food
And
or understanding. Yeah.
sometimes, Sanchita, I don't even blame the parents, because the parents feel so difficult and they feel that my child is not eating. The focus is to feed them. So they feel that, okay, if you don't like a carrot, just give them what they like, and just the parents' focus is khana kha lo, kuch to kha lo. So that is where mothers are struggling. But it's okay if they don't eat for a meal, just offer them the same meal when they're hungry, because kids are very smart. So they know if I throw a little tantrum, I'll get the TV. If I say no to something, I'll get what I like. So that's something that we need to work on. Parents have to have that little holding capacity where they're okay if the child is throwing a tantrum, they're okay if the child is saying no, keep offering and be a good role model. So if you say that my child does not like a yogurt, but do you like it? Do you eat it in front of the kid? That is where we have to show them that, and starting young is the most important thing. When you start young and you expose them to different tastes, textures, and food groups, they will automatically not be so fussy and not be so picky.
Yeah, and I realize that kids, they learn through consequences. They know, I don't eat this food, in 10 minutes, I'm getting my, whatever I liked.
Exactly.
Or I don't touch this food, the TV is going to come on in 10 minutes. And of course, as you were saying as well, nutrition is so important because it affects their mood, their energy, their growth. So we are all stressed as parents about it on a daily basis. But I think as parents, we need to work through the day and know that, okay, if they didn't want to eat, try again in 30 minutes. If not, let's make up for the calories by giving them an opportunity in the next meal. So I tell, like, so for example, if you have a child who sat down at breakfast and only ate the fruit, right? They didn't want to eat the actual food, right? Then what do you do as a parent? Then what you do is you say, okay, now it's snack time. I'm going to make sure I offer some carbs so that if your child really needs the carbs, they will make up for it. So you cannot control what your child will have, but you can control how you respond and keep giving them opportunities throughout the day. So I know it's tough. I think both of us have gone through it as well. We get it. But it's like, even sometimes, like for my kids, I'm like, are you sure you're done? You've had like 2 bites, like you're joking, right? But then I have to just remind myself that it's their body, they're in charge. I can just give them the right foods.
Right.
So it's a
And force
journey.
feeding
Yeah.
force feeding does not help. You're not giving them enough time to build a good relationship with food, because when you start forcing them, they just start getting away from that thing. Once you start forcing them for doing something, it is not helping in any way.
And it's hard because so many of us live with in-laws, we live with people around us, and that volume driven culture is there where we are
Right.
like, how
Yeah.
can he have only 2 bites? But I always tell parents that you are the parent and it is your choice, and you have to stand up for what you believe. And food
Of
is
course.
so important. I mean, we're eating so many times a day. We spend so much money and time of planning our kids' birthday parties, spending time on their activities, which schools they're going to go to. But why are we not investing more time in the foods they eat? And a lot of times I'll tell parents, like, oh, do food play with your child. They're like, we don't have time for that. I get
Right.
it, but I feel like if we're spending so much time on all these other things, we should try and spend a bit more time on food because it shapes so much of who we are.
Yeah. And what we are and our personality, everything is around food. I feel it's so little importance given in schools also. As you have English or math or science as a compulsory subject, I feel nutrition should be like at least 10 minutes of talking about food and everything should be compulsory in every school.
Yeah, and even this whole like healthy and unhealthy, like I think a lot of us we're trying to move away from that and teach kids that food is food. And even if you're eating a packet of chips, sure, it's giving you energy, but it's going to give you short-term energy. But if you eat something else, so it's more about also changing, rewiring the way we speak to kids about it. And I wish schools would talk to kids as well about it. So, yeah, I want to shift a little bit to talk a little bit about different times in our kids' life and different seasons. So, for example, right now in India, you have the monsoons going on. So, a lot of times, clients will come and tell me, oh, we don't want to offer certain veggies and all of that. So, in your opinion, can you guide us on during the monsoons? Are there certain foods that should be included, certain foods, yes, we should avoid?
So, generally in India, because the green leafy vegetables grow in such conditions where there's a lot of water and dirt and everything, that's why they say that these vegetables are not good during the monsoon. But if you know the source and if baby spinach is available, you should include that. But because of the conditions, most of the people don't get enough nice green leafy vegetables because the rain ruins it. That is why certain foods are excluded. Also for your gut health, because diseases, mosquitoes, everything is on the rise at this time. Building the immune system in a way, preparing it for monsoon is very important. So ginger, turmeric, all these things, the spices that we have in our kitchen are good to build that the body for the season. So yeah, every season will have a different food group that you should be including. Like in summers, I would suggest that water-based fruits or vegetables like cucumber, watermelon, coconut, and you should consume in a bit more quantity than in any other season. And there are superfoods like sattu that you should be having in summer, sabja, that basil seeds, that gives a lot of cooling effect. Gond katira that we use a lot in the juices and everything, that gives a cooling effect. Yeah, every season has its different food group which are locally and seasonally grown here. Yeah, winters will have root vegetables. We have a huge variety, and that is why it says local and seasonal is very important.
Yeah, and I think the lucky thing about being in places like India where it's seasonal, you can just follow what's available there. Like in the winters, you have, your oranges and strawberries, like things that are high in vitamin C. So you know that, okay, offering this will help prevent the colds and all during the winter time. So even a lot of clients will ask me, okay, what should we offer? Like, should we get organic and all of that? And I say, look, if you'd rather get local because you know it's coming straight, so they're not having to spray it, it's fresh and all of that. So I always say go for local and seasonal. And luckily, if you're in India, you can actually follow that. You had mentioned a bit about immunity. So, for immunity in the first few years, it takes time to build. So, it's very important for the kids to go through. They will get sick and it's okay. I know a lot of parents get nervous about it, but it's totally normal. And that's how they build their immunity. And keeping things clean, proper sleep, hygiene, all of these things are important. Could you highlight for us some foods that can help to boost immunity?
So foods like turmeric, ginger really help build the immune system. And giving them a variety, I feel that is where a wholesome meal, a variety of plant based food, variety of protein that you have on a regular basis, exposing them to different kinds of food groups build their immunity. It is not just one superfood or one kara that you make at home is going to build their immunity. It is avoiding sugar, too much of junk food, all that will help. Probiotics help a lot, including yogurt and fermented food. That really helps them. Prebiotics, which, like, I'm sure that helps them flourish their gut, which is like giving them vegetables and fruits. And so, yeah, it's not just one thing. It is like focusing on their every meal and focusing on giving them a wholesome meal at every whenever we can. Let's just say that whenever it is possible, just make sure that they're eating home cooked and mindful food that you prepare or your help prepares at home for you.
Yeah, exactly what you're saying. I think when most parents ask me about immunity, I'm like, make sure they get enough sleep and make sure as much as you can, just do a simple home cooked balanced meal and try and give a bit of variety. I think just in that itself, you can really help build your child's immunity. I want to move on now and talk a little bit about puberty because parents are scared today. They are really, really nervous because there's so many kids who are reaching puberty way before time. From the research I've done, what I'm understanding is that it really is a combination of several things. So, number one is a lot of people are blaming dairy, but from my research, it's a combination of things and not just dairy. And it's also when kids are having way too much dairy. And I would like to point out to parents that dairy is really important for growing kids, especially for vegetarians, because things like milk, cheese, paneer, they have the good fats, they have the B vitamins, it has the calcium, it has a lot of good stuff. So, parents out there, if you're worried about giving dairy, just make sure you get good quality dairy and make sure, again, it's balanced and don't overdo it. But in terms of puberty, I want to mention the few things and I'd love for you to add on. One is way excessive amount of dairy. Another thing is that our kids are unfortunately living more of a sedentary lifestyle. So they're sitting more, they're not moving as much. Third would be a lot of the packaged foods and ultra processed foods, which are messing with their hormones as well. Another thing is the use of plastic, a lot of plastic, which has the chemicals that are going in as well. So for me, these are the few things that I have seen are affecting puberty. I'd love to know from you as well. Why do you feel so many kids are reaching puberty earlier?
So, the most important, when I'm working with parents whose kids are approaching puberty, the maximum problems that I hear from them is the sugary drinks. Kids are addicted to those, and that is really harming them so much, to that extent that puberty now is girls are getting their periods between 8 and 9 years, which is way too early, and it's not for the little child to be exposed to these things. There are certain TV shows that the kids, when you don't monitor what your child is watching, is also a major factor in their puberty coming in early, because when they are exposed to shows that are not age appropriate, and they start thinking about those things, and it's the brain that is giving them signals that they're ready, the body is ready, and that's how there is also one more major reason for puberty to come in early. So parents have to really monitor what they are watching. Food, of course, they're so much into this peer pressure of eating outside food because my friends eating, and there are so many play dates and so many parties, so that we parents have to bring in this uh, this thing that at least for weekdays, let's not eat outside. Weekends, of course, we cannot avoid. We don't want to make them antisocial. We want them to be social and around people. So yeah, if you're taking them for a party, feed them before the party so that they end up eating a little lesser junk. Even if they are eating there, let them have it with a happy thing. Don't keep commenting that don't eat this, this is not good for you, this is not right for you. So labeling food is also a big problem. And yeah, puberty food that can help is all the nuts and seeds are a real olive seeds, if you have heard of. It is one of the best food for puberty in girls. It gives them a good amount of iron, and it gives them a good boost to their energy levels and everything. So that is one food that I always recommend to all my girl child and girl parents, to include that from their pre-puberty age, where it can be included in their diet like two or three times a week. It's a winter food. So winter seed actually. It is a little heaty for the body, but it's great for their hormonal balance. And the only thing that we can focus on is avoiding as much packaged and sugary drinks, because that is causing early puberty quite a lot.
Yeah, I think it all comes down to a lot of these packaged foods because unfortunately, a lot of them today, number one, they have all these artificial sweeteners. So these again mess up with the gut and send the wrong connection to the brain. Actually, people who have artificial sweeteners, they end up craving more sugar. And now a lot of these products are coming out saying no sugar. So parents are falling for it, but it's actually all these artificial sweeteners. Again, the sugary drinks is just too much sugar, which is
Too much
affecting their
sugar.
body again,
Yeah.
right? And like things like high fructose corn syrup, all of these things are coming out, and I think it's just damaging. But we all love to say and tell our kids you can't do it, but a lot of kids don't listen. So
Right.
what advice would you give to a mom who's struggling with a child who just is saying no and she'd rather not eat her meal, she just wants to eat the junk food? Any advice for those parents who just are not able to get their child on board?
See, the first advice is to start them young. That is something that I really insist on. But, you know, it's never late. So take them to the right person who can advise them or who they will listen to. Set some ground rules, I feel. Parents, we are a generation who are like really in a fix. We don't want to scold them. We don't want to say no to anything. And later we regret to that. So maintaining a balance, clicking a balance is very important. Parents have to learn to say no. I know I will not be liked by a lot of parents for saying this, but we should be setting our rules straight that okay, if you want to eat this in a week, at least 3 times you eat at home, or 4 days you do this, or set some rules which work for your child. And that's how you will bring that balance. That's how you will bring that, because it's not going to affect you, it is going to affect him or her in his adulthood. That is what the child needs to understand, or made to understand, that it's bad for me, it's not giving me any good, it's just the temporary happiness that I'm getting with this food.
Yeah. I also try and teach my kids, like, okay, let's look at the back. Let's look at the ingredients. And for example, that day, like my kids, they like to eat those drumsticks, the cone with the ice cream and stuff. And I was like, okay, once a week, if you need to have it, fine. They have few cashews and avocado before. And I'm like, it's part of a balanced diet. But that day I sat down with them. I said, guys, let's just understand the ingredients. And just,
Right.
as they get older, also, they want to understand things. So I
Of
looked
course.
back and I said, look, and then we started seeing all these E124, E this. I'm like, guys, these numbers are going in you. And what they're doing is your body gets so confused and then they're just storing it there. And that's why you get upset or you get angry and you're not in a good mood and you don't feel good.
And they act like drugs. They are so addictive that once you feed your body with that, it just starts craving the same food over and over again. So it's just a vicious cycle that we need to break.
Yeah. And so, and actually talking to my kids about it, they were like, oh, okay, so then, okay, we get it. So what can we have instead? And I think that's also where you've done such a beautiful job where, you're like, it's not like we're saying no to ice cream, but it's like,
Yeah,
okay, what can we do to make it better so that you
better.
still enjoy it and it's tasty? Because I think even for us as adults, we feel healthy food doesn't taste good. So how
Yeah,
can we make
that's
it tasty? Right. But still be a bit nutritious. So I think sometimes we underestimate our kids as well. If we just sit and talk to them about it, like my son will actually look at the back of the label and be like, oh, 4 grams of protein. Okay, not bad. But it's also because I started since they were like 3. And obviously,
right.
my daughter doesn't care as much. She's like, whatever. But as parents, we can do our best. But just what you said, if we don't do it, who will? I think today, as parents, we're doing this whole gentle parenting and all of that. But even if you look at things like gentle parenting, they're very clear. There has to be boundaries. You understand their feeling. You accept they want to eat the chips, but you have to hold a boundary and then give them something else to look forward to. So I think it's about just as parents shifting our mindset as well and not being like, okay, we just need to give in because we want to be those cool parents.
Also, if you see all the recipes on my page also has a lot of sugar, jaggery, or any kind of sweetener, and that is also giving them that spike, or it is sugar ultimately, but it is controlled by you, and you know how much is going inside, and you know how much your child is going to eat. But whatever they're eating from outside is not controlled. It is not, you don't know what all they have put in to just increase the shelf life of that product and what harm it is giving doing to their body. So it's the best gift if we can teach our kids certain basics of nutrition so that they themselves start saying no to these things.
And exactly what you said, if it's compared to having like a ragi cookie at home, yeah, sure, you're adding the jaggery. But compared to having like a chocolate chip cookie from outside, all those extra stuff they're adding in is damaging their gut. It's having so many other effects that that little bit of jaggery, in fact, in that cookie actually is a much better option than giving that packaged food.
No, I have, trust me, Sanchita, I've seen how these cookies are made outside. It is much more sugar. It is almost 3 times of what we use at home and make. And when we make it at home, also, it is quite sweet enough. Kids are happy with those cookies. It's just that that extreme 3 times of sugar is not required. They do it because they can increase the shelf life of that cookie.
Yeah, so really what I'm understanding from this conversation is as much as we can, parents, I know it's hard, but luckily so many of us have help today. So one is that stick to homemade foods as much as you can. Two, stick to local and seasonal. Three, add simple superfoods like moringa, nuts and seeds, ghee, things to the food that they are already eating.
Eating.
And really, yeah, just try and stay away from the packaged foods once in a while is okay, but try and do alternatives that they can enjoy at home. And the last two questions I'd love to ask you is when our kids come home from school, right? They are starving, they are hungry. That's when those cravings come in. Can you give us a few ideas that are good snack ideas after school?
So when they come home, you understand it's like a pit stop for where they just stop for fueling themselves. They've had a long day of thinking, learning, and moving around, and also feeling, because that when kids go to school, they go through so much in a day we don't even realize, emotionally also. So they are mentally, physically, and emotionally exhausted. So when they come home, and if you give them the right snack, it just boosts their mood. It will give them that energy that is required to get through the second half of the day. So it's very important to understand first what you have given them in breakfast and in their tiffin. Is the school giving them lunch, or you have packed their lunch? So you know what has gone in your child's body already. And when they come back home, it is very important for working parents. I understand that there's no time. You can batch make a certain nut laddus or seed laddus. You can give them some protein based chilas, or even sweet potato is something that I really focus on. At least give them 3 to 4 times a week, because it is a good source of energy. It is a complex carb which is really good for them, their gut, their skin, their hair, their energy levels, their brain, everything. So build your meal around protein. I know I'm emphasizing too much on it. Include complex carbs in their diet instead of simple carbs, and add good fats to it. So nuts and seeds powder or nuts and seed laddu with little ghee and jaggery works wonders during that time as soon as they enter, even for working parents and even for parents that are home. You have made that thing and kept it. So you're sorted for a week, say. And I mean, fruits, vegetables, vegetable sticks, hummus, yogurt dips. So all these things are great after school snack. If your child is coming during lunchtime, then straightforward it is lunch that you
Yeah.
offer them. Because I've seen a lot of parents say that even if they come at 2, they have lunch, the whole lunch, which is fine, fair, okay. But if for kids who are coming at 4 o'clock, 4 to 6 is a good. So if you give them a packet of cookies at that time, you are just, it's like just ruining everything that you have done, because it's like giving them half a glass of petrol to the Ferrari. It has run so much, it is not going to a long way in that. So don't give them a packet. Instead, give them a plate full of power, which is like a complete wholesome meal.
Yeah. I think after school snacks are great ideas just to make sure there's some fiber and protein. So the in that way, and so your laddus, your even like fruit and nut butter as well. You can give your paratas. You can even make I like popsicle sticks. Like I make like ragi
You
popsicles
can give
for my
them
kids. Yeah.
sprouts, make things with sprouts idli or sprouts chila or something around these food. Yeah, I mean, there are endless options. You can check on my page also. I mean, there are thousands of varieties, and they're all very quick, because even I'm somebody who does not like to stand too much in the kitchen or spend too much time in the kitchen. If you're planned, I think it becomes easier.
And I think that's where your page and even people like me, we come in because we are like, here are the snack ideas, just go for it and have that ready. And the last question I'd like to ask you is you mentioned how sugary drinks are, actually causing puberty because of the amount of sugar and stuff in it. What are great alternatives to sugary drinks for kids?
I would say if they like sugary drinks and, if they like to drink something, it's always better to make things at home. So lemonade is a great option, but you make it at home, fresh lime. And kokum sharbat is a great option. Coconut water is an excellent, drink that you can give them. Just add a little pinch of salt and lemon to it. It just hydrates your entire body. So these things, I know, I mean, I cannot compare those sugary drinks with these drinks, because kids will say, I don't like that. I like my packaged drink. But it's just about habit formation. You don't have it at home, they don't end up drinking. So it's just giving them options what you want to give them. We have to experiment, we have to keep trying, and we have to set our rules that this is what you have, you pick and choose. Don't give them those options.
Exactly. No. Honestly, I feel like today as parents, we have so many resources available. We have all the products available to us,
Yeah,
even internationally. So it really is us about us just taking some time out and making
right.
it happen. And luckily you can do it for the whole family. Everyone can enjoy the
Right.
similar foods. And I
Yeah.
think so many of my clients tell me that they have switched their diets to based on what their kids are eating because now their kids are eating better than them. Thank you, Mona, so much. You really shared a lot of insights. I think this has been a great conversation. I think parents listening to this will feel like, okay, I can do this. It's just
Yeah.
about, taking a bit of an initiative. And thank you for all the work that you do. And thank you for joining us today on the
Thank
podcast.
you, Sanchita. Thank you so much for having me.